A humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza has collapsed. Israel agreed to a 2-hour truce in a Gaza neighborhood hit hard by the shelling. Israel now says its troops were fired on moments after the announcement. Hamas says Israelis broke the truce first with a renewed artillery attack. A local news agency says the casualties in the neighborhood were the heaviest since the start of the offensive. The temporary truce was aimed at allowing each side to attend its wounded. Meantime, in one of the bloodiest days in the nearly 2-week-old conflict, at least 13 Israeli soldiers have been killed. The death toll brings the total number of Israeli military fatalities to 18, while the Palestinian death toll climbed to more than 400. As fighting spreads, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the two sides show no signs of a diplomatic breakthrough.
We didn't seek this escalation. Hamas forced it on us. They started rocketing our cities, steadily increasing the fire. I called for de-escalation. They refused. I accepted an Egyptian ceasefire proposal backed up by the Arab League and the UN. They refused. I accepted a humanitarian law proposed by the United Nations. They refused. We'll stop our operations when we can bring back quiet to our people.
The Israeli military says it has beefed up its presence with armored vehicles and helicopters along the border. They say their mission is to destroy Hamas missile stockpiles and a vast tunnel system. Israel has also accused Hamas of using civilians as human shields. Israeli shelling in East Gaza has left dozens of bodies strewn on the streets and tens of thousands fleeing for shelter. Israeli forces focused on attacking Hamas tunnels and command centers. Thousands fled to a local hospital already packed with the wounded. Hospital officials say dozens of women and children were killed, along with 4 elderly citizens. The offensive has also left thousands of Palestinians wounded. As the death toll rises on each side of the conflict, the international community is trying desperately to revive ceasefire negotiations. CCTV's Stephanie Freid is live in Tel Aviv with more. And Stephanie, why is Israel targeting this one specific Gaza neighborhood so heavily?
Well, there was a report that 12 members of one family in this neighborhood were killed overnight, and that house, that family, was supposedly of a Hamas leader. Also, the army says and the government says that they're specifically looking for underground tunnel networks. Clearly, they believe they're there. They're trying to get these underground tunnels where they say there are weapon stores, rocket stores. Also, the tunnels lead straight into Israel, and they're trying to collapse those. They said they couldn't have done that with airstrikes. So essentially, the strikes on this specific neighborhood are to strike the network of tunnels, but also to send a message to Hamas leaders. However, the broader message is being sent to the civilians, as we're seeing, as we're hearing. Bodies found underneath rubble, bodies in the streets, as you noted, Susan, and much, much devastation, thousands and thousands fleeing the city, many, many women and children among the victims today. So there was fierce fighting there throughout the night, throughout the day, so they are being met with some resistance, the Israeli army is. And essentially, much, again, devastation in Sajaiya, that's the name of that neighborhood.
What is the latest, Stephanie, from the Israeli Prime Minister, and do you sense any prospect for a ceasefire?
Well, the Prime Minister and the Defense Minister held a joint press conference, a live televised press conference. They also had televised statements to the public this evening. First of all, they were extending condolences. These soldiers killed, they're the first. And seeing Israeli soldiers start to die, be killed in the conflict, that can turn the public opinion, and they're well aware of that. So they were extending condolences, trying to rally around this ongoing campaign. Both pretty much said that Hamas brought this on themselves, and that they have a mission. That big mission is to root out these underground tunnels. It'll keep going. One of the questions actually was that if there were a ceasefire, would the mission stop, even if they hadn't achieved their aims? That question still is lingering, essentially. However, because it was unclear from the Prime Minister what would be the action. However, they said that they will, both the Defense Minister and the Prime Minister said that they will continue with the campaign until there's quiet restored to Israel, and it looks like they're going to press deeper into Gaza.
Stephanie Freid reporting live from Tel Aviv. Thank you for that.